The Detroit Lions add another to their injured reserve list, and FYI, the Detroit Lions do not have a sack from the defensive tackle position. Why am I bringing the latter part up? Because I was told in the comment section that the defensive tackle, DJ Reader, has a sack or something like that. No, he does not. There is not a person with the defensive tackle designation that has a sack on our team. I do this. This is, if there's any number that I'm paying attention to on the team, this is it. Not pressures, not anything else. Sacks from, just period, and from the defensive line. All right? You know we got to talk about that pass rush every single video, and now we got that out the way. But the Detroit Lions have lost another one to the injured reserve list. According to the Detroit Lions Twitter account, says the Lions place linebacker Zach Cunningham on injured reserve. And this is quite unfortunate because Zach was a solid piece for us, coming out like a man possessed in that Baltimore Ravens game, which, by the way, was the last time we saw him. He came up. He was part of that 4th and goal stop on, I think it was Derrick Henry back at the time, that really propelled the Lions defense to kind of ball out that particular game and really help with the Detroit Lions. So it's unfortunate that he will be on injured reserve because we're making that push. 10 games left, like Dan Campbell said, and then the playoffs, and we're going to need all the help we can get. Now, the fortunate news is it has not been labeled season ending, so we could get him back in later on this year. But in addition to that, I saw an update from DetroitFreePress.com, Dave Burkett, that Malcolm Rodriguez could start practicing next week. So we could see him sometime in November. I don't know if he's going to play after the bye, like right after the bye, but he is ready to go. Had a cleanup surgery on his knee later in the offseason, and I think that's why he's a little further behind. But he was hurt on Thanksgiving, so it's almost been right at 11 months since he was injured. And I think Aleem actually came back in 10 months. So I think that second surgery really pushed Malcolm Rodriguez back. But yeah, Zack Cunningham, man, he was a guy that really stood out to you when he was on the field. So we're going to take a look at the injured reserve list and see just who could be coming back. How many people do the Detroit Lions have wrapped up so far on season-ending IR? But before we do that, I wanted to show you guys something yesterday, that the Detroit Lions re-signed linebacker Ty Summers to the practice squad. This is a guy that we had on our team last year. He wind up, we waived him. I believe we waived him. He was claimed by the New York Giants. He played a ton of games for the Giants last year, and then we went and picked him up or something like that, but we had to waive him. I'm actually very surprised that he was able to clear waivers. This did happen yesterday, the 21st of October, but Ty Summers has been signed to the Detroit Lions practice squad. Remember, when you are elevated, when you are signed to the 53, from the practice squad, you cannot be demoted to back down to the practice squad. In order to go to the practice squad, you have to be sent through waivers, clear waivers, and then you can sign anywhere you want, essentially. And most times the person comes back to the team that they were already on, if that team wants them. So you can be promoted from the practice squad to the active roster. You can be elevated 3 times before you have to be waived or signed to the 53-man roster, but you cannot go down once you come up from the practice squad. If you are signed to the active roster, you have to go through that process. Speaking of going through that process, in less than 2 weeks after the NFL trade deadline, whether you're a vested veteran or not, everyone has to go through waivers after the NFL trade deadline. That's why Tyler Lockett asked to be released from the Tennessee Titans. They granted that release. Right now, he can sign wherever he wants to sign. He is a free agent. Once the NFL trade deadline passes, then you have to go through waivers. That's why it is imperative that and that's why the pass rush comes up again, because if the Detroit Lions are not going to make a move at the NFL deadline for a pass rusher, then they're not going to claim anybody worth anything off waivers. It's not going to happen. So, speaking of pass rush, defensive end Ahmed Hassanin I saw on his Instagram, somebody put it on Twitter that he is working out, and the Detroit Lions are supposed to be re-signing him very soon. So that should be something to look forward to. All right, so what does Zack Cunningham do his brief time with the Detroit Lions before being placed on injured reserve, where according to ESPN.com, played 4 games, had 7 total tackles. 5 of them were solo, and again, played a colossal part in that game against the Baltimore Ravens in week 3 when the Detroit Lions were 1-1. So wishing that he gets well soon. But what are the odds that he comes back, or who could we see coming back from injured reserve for the Detroit Lions? Let's take a look at the Detroit Lions injured reserve real quick. So you have Zach Cunningham. He got added today. Marcus Davenport, Khalil Dorsey, Justin Herron, Dan Jackson, Jamarco Jones, Giovanni Manu, Ennis Rakestraw, DJ Reed, Kyle Robichaux, Kobe Sorsdahl, Daniel Thomas, Ezekiel Turner, Kenny Yaboya, and Shane Zylstra. Now, off the top of the head, Ezekiel's done for the season. Kenny's done for the season. Kobe is done for the season. So as far as I know, the Detroit Lions don't have any players that have come back from injured reserve. Remember, Aleem McNeil was on like the PUP list or something like that. He wasn't on IR because remember, if you start the season on IR and you were not part of those 2 exemptions or designated to return, your season is over. So he was on a different list, the same way Josh Pascal is on a different list. Who do I think will come back from injured reserve? I think it's going to be Marcus Davenport. He'll be 1. I think that DJ Reed obviously will be 2. And then it'll be maybe a couple more. But let me see who's done for the season. All right, so Levi, Justin, Kobe, Jamarco, and Dan Jackson are done for the season. Then we have Ezekiel Turner, Ennis Rakestraw, and Kenny are done for the season. So again, as far as I know, the Detroit Lions have not brought anyone back through 7 games off injured reserve. I think Marcus Davenport and DJ Reader might come back at the same time. They might wind up kind of coming back at the same time. Let me look and see who is on the reserve non-football injury list. Is Josh Pascal. He is, I don't know what's going on with him, if he's going to return this season, but Josh Pascal. And then we have the physically unable to perform list. Malcolm Rodriguez, he will come back as well. Practice squad, and then you go into the practice squad. So bad news for Zach Cunningham. Again, played well the few games he was in. He is going to be missed, but again, we will have Ty Summers, who's back on the practice squad. Expect him to be elevated as well. And then Malcolm Rodriguez. We probably will see Malcolm Rodriguez. My guess is Thanksgiving. I think it's only fitting. He got hurt on Thanksgiving. Why not have Thanksgiving be his first game back? In between that time, though, we do have 3 games to play. We have the Minnesota Vikings after our bye week. Then we have the Washington Commanders and then the Philadelphia Eagles, which are both on the road. So if he's not going to play against, which he probably won't, against the Minnesota Vikings on the 2nd, why not have him come back the next game at home on Thanksgiving? It'll be a solid year because he hasn't had contact yet. So I think he's doing like football drills and stuff, but he's not doing any contact. He hasn't been cleared for contact, if I read that right from the Detroit Free Press. So I'm guessing that we still are a ways away, probably Thanksgiving at the earliest. I think we see Malcolm, and then after, if not, then we'll probably see him in December. So let me know what you think down in the comments below. And again, I had to bring up the defensive tackle thing because when I'm sitting here watching the games, I'm yelling out numbers and I'm trying to pay attention to what's going on. But people are so quick to, oh, this person got a sack and this person got a sack. No, we have no defensive tackle. Not saying that we won't, but we have no defensive tackle with a sack. And this is why, again, I don't understand why we cannot stress the edge position even further. Like, if you don't, Aleem coming back changed the game tremendously. You could see the first play of the game, Aleem was like, want to hear it? Here it go. I'm back, right? It was up in the backfield immediately. I think that, so a lot of people are like, oh, we got some, DJ Reader got a sack. No, he doesn't. There's not a single defensive tackle Our linebackers have more sacks than our DTs. Our secondary players have more sacks than our DTs. All right. Like I said, I do this. This is what I do. If it's one number I'm going to pay attention to, it is going to be sacks. But listen to what I'm saying. I will stop talking about them when we get what we need. You think we have what we need. Brad might think that too. He's the guy that matters. I am just your friendly basement general manager. That's who I am. But I am a numbers guy, and I am convinced that we need an edge rusher. I'm convinced, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that that is the missing piece to us winning a Super Bowl. That's just my opinion. You know I got to bring up the pass rush every single video. This channel is made possible by viewers, subscribers, and members just like you. It's because of your support I get to do what I do. You could be anywhere else on YouTube, but you choose to rock with me. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions.